Hello to all of my sewers out there, all of my beginners, all of my creative designers. Today we're going to talk about doing a poncho. I got this beautiful fabric. It's called brushed cotton. So it feels really good. It's for the winter time. And we're going to make a poncho. This is actually 2 yards of fabric. So we're going to do 2 kinds of ponchos. I'm going to talk about the first kind. It's going to be the square poncho, right? So what you need to do, get your tape measure, and you're going to measure how long you want your poncho, where you want it to fall. So I wanted mine to fall about right here. So you might need some help to get someone to measure you from the back on how far you want it to fall, whether you want your hands exposed or not. Then you're going to get the measurements on your length, how far you want your poncho to drop. I've already got my measurements. So my length is going to be, it's 42 wide, and the length is going to be 30 long. So let's start sewing. Okay, right here I'm doing my measurements with the ruler. The ruler only goes to 1 yard, 36 inches. So I'm adding 6 more inches to make it 42. That's my width. Now the length on how far I want it to drop is 30 inches. So I'm doing 30 inches for is my length. And I'm cutting. It just so happened that I can just follow the line. How beautiful things work out. Okay, right here I'm folding my fabric, and I'm going to lay it on the table. This is the same technique to do a circle skirt, and I'm going to use one of my shirts. One of my shirts is a large, and what you do, you fold the back neckline, the bordering of the back neckline. That's what you use, and you're going to fold it, and you're going to get some chalk, and you're going to just start to lift the back. Well, right here I'm folding. So again, you're going to get some chalk, and you're just going to lift it up and just mark it as you go. Just keep lifting sections up and mark it. And once you mark it, then you're going to connect the dots. And this is what I'm doing here. I'm connecting the dots. And after connecting the dots, then I cut it. Okay, right here I'm done with my neckline, and now I got to choose the type of bordering I want. I'm doing a turtleneck, so I got this beautiful cotton stretch knit, so it's already prepared. So I'm doing a nice turtleneck. My measurements was 22. You got to do 23 so you have some seam allowance. And I chose the black because, you know, that I don't want that white to get dirty around my neck. So I did the measurements, and now I'm just cutting. Now, depending on you may want your turtleneck to be more fitted. So you would make your cutting for your neckline a little bit more close in for your turtleneck to be fitted. Mine is a little loose because that's the way I want it. Okay, this is another way you can get your neckline done. I'm using an old t-shirt, and I'm cutting the tail off, just like I did for that neck scarf video. Y'all need to check that out. I'm getting my measuring tape because, like I said, my measurement is 22 inches, and I'm measuring up this t-shirt. And for the width, I'm marking the 22 inches, but for my width, I went with a 3-inch. So I'm doing 3-inch for as the height where I want it to fall at on my neck. And this is just another thing you guys can use if you don't buy the pre-cut border. And this is a way that you can make your neckline by just using a stretched t-shirt. Something that's going to stretch, so that'll be good. You want to be able to put your head in it. Okay, as I'm lining up all my pivotal points to make sure that my collar is sewn on perfectly. Make sure you put some pins in, way more pins than I used. Now, on the sewing machine, a lot of you may be able to have that bottom case that can be removed. Anytime you're sewing something circular, it's a very good idea to remove this. So I am putting the collar and the garment together, and I'm just sewing. This is kind of thick, so you want to make sure you have everything lined up nice and hold it nice and firm. And you sew. Right here again, I'm doing 3/8 of a seam allowance. Okay, right here I am pulling threads in order to get my natural fringe. On one side of the fabric, which is the Savage, it already had the fringe. It was doing its own thing, so right here I start to okay, this is the next poncho example that I'm showing. Now here I'm just using some sample fabric. This fabric is 22 inches long and 14 inches wide. Now, you see what I'm doing here? I'm just laying the fabric across one another, like making a is that a P? Yeah, a P, like a P. And I'm pinning. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, a P. I was going to say a T, but that's a partial T. Now this next step, once you pin, you can just go and you can sew this part here. Now this next step is going to be kind of interesting. But if you watch closely, what you do next, you pick it up and you lay it down. I like to start at the very end. That helps me out a lot. And I'm going to do it again because sometimes people have an issue remembering how to pick it up. So I like to take the end, like let's just say the end of the purple fabric, and I'm going to line it up with the end of the black fabric. And then here, I'm going to pin. It's best to start at the ends. I know it works easier for me. And then I'm going to pin all the way up. glass pin, and we're going to do the seaming, turn it inside out. Now I know on the last poncho I put in red, make sure you do zigzag. Make sure you're using zigzag stitching, because for your stretch knit you want it to be able to stretch, and a straight stitch will cause your thread to pop, so that you want some movability. So make sure you use a zigzag. But here we go. This is how it's going to look, and this is the sample. And this is the V-neck. So now we're going to go to the larger fabric. This is just a sample. Moving on. Okay, now here I'm sewing the larger one, something actually a human can wear, because that sample one, the only thing can fit in that is a baby doll. I use 1 yard fabric, 1 yard black, 1 yard purple, and it was 22 inches wide. And I stitched using a zigzag, and this is me turning it over. Now I did go in and I added me some fringes at the tail. I love fringes. What I did, I added a ribbon of blue. That's really important, that ribbon of blue. And to make this thing really fancy for me, that's what I'm doing.